Hello Year 4, it's Mrs. Plews here with your English lesson for Friday the 20th of November. Let's have a look at what we're doing today. Okay, so yesterday you started writing your explanation text for me and our title was Why Did the Egyptians Build Pyramids? I was really impressed with the work. Thank you so much for everything you sent me. It was great to see you putting your research into your writing and making a really good start using the features that we talked about. So my feedback for you is that you've written a good, innovative explanation text. You need to keep it up to date because we're going to be carrying on with our writing today. I'd just like you to take a moment, have a look back at your writing and think what was your favourite sentence that you wrote yesterday? And also why was it your favourite? Perhaps you were really proud of it. Perhaps you managed to include some of those fronted adverbials or causal conjunctions. Or perhaps you just really like the facts that you were including. Okay, let's remind ourselves of our English target. So this term we're working on fronted adverbials. We've been doing a lot of work on that and hopefully we're really seeing that in your writing now. So I thought we'd just start by trying to recall what a fronted adverbial is. And I thought I'd challenge you to see if you could spot where I haven't used a fronted adverbial. So I'm going to show you 3 sentences. Look closely at them, I'll read them to you. See if you can spot which sentence does not use a fronted adverbial. So the first sentence is, determinedly, the labourers quarried for limestone using small copper tools. The next sentence is, there was no safety equipment such as helmets. As a result, workers could be seriously hurt. And finally, in the Nile Valley, several small pyramids were built. Okay, so have a look at those 3 sentences, see if you can spot some fronted adverbials and maybe see if there's a sentence that doesn't have a fronted adverbial. I'll just give you a moment to think. Okay, hopefully you spotted then. In our first sentence, we've got determinedly. That's our fronted adverbial there. In our second sentence, there was no safety equipment is at the start of our sentence. So was that a fronted adverbial? Hopefully you realise that's not a fronted adverbial, but we did have a causal conjunction here, if you managed to spot that. And then finally, the last sentence we had in the Nile Valley. So that was another fronted adverbial there, and that one was telling us where it happened. Okay, let's have a look at our walk for today. So today we will be writing an innovative explanation text using paragraphs, fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions. So it's the same as yesterday because we're carrying on with our writing today. So we need to start thinking about the middle paragraphs of our explanation text. So have a think, what do you think you might include in those sections? And have a look back at those planning sheets you completed in your research lessons because those are going to help you today. That should be the information that is in your writing today. So looking at our WALT, let's just remind ourselves what are fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions. So take a moment, just think for yourself, what actually is a fronted adverbial and a causal conjunction? Could you explain that to somebody? Perhaps if you're with somebody now, you might try and explain to them what they are. Okay, let's have a look. So fronted adverbials are words or phrases used at the beginning of a sentence to describe the action in a sentence. So we know verbs are doing words and our adverbs describe those doing words. So the fronted adverbial gives us a bit more information about the action going on in the sentence. Okay, and causal conjunctions, well, we know conjunctions join phrases together and clauses together. So causal conjunctions are words and phrases which are used to introduce a cause, reason, or explanation for action within a sentence. So basically saying why or how something happened. So I put some examples down here for you. That should just be a reminder of some of the activities we did yesterday, but I'm going to include that on your daily plan for today so you can use that to help you in your writing if you need some examples of causal conjunctions or adverbials. Okay. So here are some examples I picked out from the writing you sent me. I was really impressed that some of you managed to put those skills into your writing. I was particularly pleased to see the punctuation correct in a lot of your work. So remember, when we're using fronted adverbials, we must have a capital letter and then we need a comma after that fronted adverbial. So I was really pleased some people managed to do that yesterday. let's have a look at some examples. You might be able to magpie from these because I'm actually going to magpie later on in our shared writing. So this was a lovely sentence. I really liked in this one that the person managed to use the word civilizations. And if you remember back to the dictionary work we did in class, we were talking about the word civilizations and how that meant a community or group of people. So this sentence was, surprisingly, the Egyptians were one of the first civilizations to believe in an afterlife. So that was a really lovely sentence introducing some of the reasons behind the pyramids being built. And surprisingly there is being used as our fronted adverbial. Okay, the next sentence I picked out was, the Egyptians believed that when a person died, they would make a special journey to the afterlife, so they built pyramids to bury people in. Now this one doesn't have a fronted adverbial, so what does it have in it? I wonder if you spotted it. It's got a causal conjunction. I'll just give you a moment to see if you can find the causal conjunction in that sentence. Here we are, the word so. Okay, so the causal conjunction there is so. They're explaining why the Egyptians built those pyramids. That sentence was almost magpied from the model text that we've been learning in class as well, which was a great idea. It's okay to use the ideas we've been learning in class as well. And then this sentence I liked because this person had found some research on places that the pyramids were built in Egypt. So they had written, at Giza, 3 pyramids were built. So I liked at Giza because that was used there as a fronted adverbial. Okay, so some nice skills there in your writing from yesterday that I was really impressed with. So thank you for sending those to me. I'm going to look forward to seeing what you've written today later on. So let's take some time to look at your writing now. Have a look back at what you did yesterday. What I'd like you to do is see if you've managed to use fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions, because that's the aim of our writing. That's our WALT. That's what we're trying to show in our writing, okay? So take a moment to read through your writing. If you've got a highlighter, that would be great. If not, just use a coloured pencil or something different to what you're writing in to see if you can identify the fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions in your writing. So Emmett's actually had a go at it here. So I'll just read you a little bit of his writing, and he's managed to highlight a couple of words there to show his fronted adverbials and his causal conjunctions. So as I'm reading and you spot the highlighted words, see if you think whether Emmett's highlighted those correctly or not. Okay, this is Emmett's writing then. Firstly, the labourers quarried the limestone with small copper tools. This work was dangerous, slow and exhausting. There was no safety equipment like helmets and harnesses. As a result, workers could be hurt or even killed. Okay, so that was Emmett's writing. You'll notice I used some of those sentences earlier as well, so that might help you with this activity. So Emmett has highlighted quarried because he thinks that's a fronted adverbial. What do you think about that? Okay, hopefully you've realised quarried is a verb, so it's a doing word, it's not an adverb, okay? So we want a fronted adverbial. Now there is one in that sentence. I'll just read it to you again and see if you can spot it. Firstly, the labourers quarried the limestone with small copper tools. So the fronted adverbial there that Emmett should have highlighted is actually firstly. So I'm going to move his highlighting over there. Okay. Right, he's also managed to highlight a causal conjunction. So it's great he's managed to use one. Let's see if he's highlighted correctly. This work was dangerous, slow and exhausting. So he's highlighted the word and is a conjunction, isn't it? But is it a causal conjunction? Is it making something happen? Or explaining why something happened? Just have a think about that. Okay, hopefully you've realised and is a conjunction, but it's not a causal conjunction, okay? It's actually a coordinating conjunction, we would call that. So we're going to take that one away, but Emmett has actually used a causal conjunction. I'm going to read his last sentence and see if you can spot causal conjunction there. There was no safety equipment like helmets and harnesses. As a result, workers could be hurt or even killed. So are there any words in that sentence that join the phrases together and explain why something happened? You might like to look at the examples at the bottom over here to help you. Okay, hopefully you've realised that Emmett should have actually highlighted as a result. Okay, we can add a little bit more highlighting there if we want to. So Emmett's done really well. He has managed to use fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions. He just got a bit confused when he was highlighting them. So take a moment now. You probably need to pause the video for this, read through what you wrote yesterday and see if you can highlight or use a coloured pencil to identify the fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions in your writing. So I suggest you pause the video and take a few moments to do that. And when you're ready, press play again. Okay, well done. Hopefully you managed to spot some fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions in your writing. And if you have, that should help you to complete our steps to success. So I've put some steps to success here for you. These are the skills that we identified right back at the start of our unit on explanation text. And these are the features we know we need to be including in our writing. Okay, so I thought I'd remind you of them today. So if you've managed to use those skills, then hopefully you've ticked things off already. But I'll just recap through some of these because you might like to assess what you've written so far before you start today, or you might like to use this to assess what you write at the end of today. So you need to make sure you've got a nice clear title. So it should be, why did the Egyptians build the pyramids? You need to have your opening paragraph, which we worked on yesterday. It should be written in order, so in order of your planning. It should show the stages of the process, so why they built the pyramids, who built the pyramids, okay, so it's all about our order. Present tense, unless it's a historical explanation. Now this is kind of a historical explanation. We're explaining why Egyptians built the pyramids, so a lot of ours will actually be past tense. An impersonal tone. So remember, that means you're writing it formally. You're writing it for somebody who isn't a friend, and somebody you want to impress, really, so you need to be using really formal language, just like you'd read in information books. Okay, we need some technical vocabulary, so things like pyramids. Perhaps you might have some of the Egyptian pharaoh names in there, or you might talk about the heights of the pyramids, those sorts of things. You might have diagrams later on. If you get time today, you might like to draw a diagram of a pyramid. So causal conjunctions here, so you might be able to tick that one off already if you manage to spot some in your writing. A final paragraph we're not going to worry about today. Mrs. Cross is going to work on that with you next time. And a passive voice. Okay, so that kind of links in with our tone of voice that we're writing from. Okay, so we're writing a very formal piece of writing because it's an explanation text. Okay, so the two paragraphs we're going to be working on today are, why did the Egyptians build pyramids? And who built the pyramid? So this is your planning sheet that you completed previously. So have a look back at that and see some of the facts that you included there. And you might have filled in some fronted adverbials and causal conjunctions here that you already had planned to use. But if you didn't, you could always add some more in from the examples that I've shared today. Okay, so when you start writing in your book, you don't need to write the WOLT again today because we're carrying on with our writing, but I would like you to put the short date in the margin, so 20.11.20, and that will enable us to see what you've written today. So the first paragraph we're going to be working on, we'll have a go at together now just to get you started, and we want to focus on why the Egyptians built the pyramids. Okay, so you're looking for reasons for why they built them. You need to be talking really about their beliefs here because that's why they were building them, wasn't it? So let me get my text up and we can start writing together. Now, I really liked some of the ideas in some of your writing and some of your research that I'd look back at. So I think I'm going to magpie some of those ideas actually today. So we want to explain why the Egyptians built the pyramids. I wonder if any of you can think how you might start today. Just give you a moment to think how you might start your paragraph today, and I'll take a moment to think how I'm going to start mine. Okay, I actually really liked the sentence that I shared before, where somebody had written, surprisingly, the ancient Egyptians, don't forget capital letter for Egyptians, were one of the first civilizations, I really liked that word, that's a really nice technical word there, to believe in the afterlife. Again, afterlife is a nice technical word, and we looked that one up in a dictionary in a previous lesson, didn't we? Okay. I thought that was a really good sentence because it links to what the Egyptians believed, so it links into why they built the pyramids. I think then I'm going to write something, I might actually magpie from our model text here, because I think it's important we mention what they believe happens when a person dies, because that kind of explains why they needed tombs for the bodies. So I think I'm going to say, I think I'm going to start with a pronoun here, and rather than keep saying ancient Egyptians, I'm just going to say they. So I'm going to say they believed that when a person died, soul, and I would like to get brackets in here because brackets are really good to use in explanation text. And if you remember back to our model text, we learned that the Egyptians used the word ka for the soul. So I'm going to say they believe that when a person died, their soul, ka, made a special journey to the afterlife. Now, I haven't managed to use, oh, hang on, I've got a spelling mistake. Let me go back and edit my spelling mistake there. There we go. Now, I haven't used a frontal adverbial in that sentence, so I think I might try and use one this time. I could do it as a conjunction, couldn't I? I think I'd quite like to use the word consequently, because it would link to my last sentence. So I'm going to put consequently. The Egyptians, I'm going to say the Egyptians placed great importance on preserving the body. Now I want to talk about the pyramids because I need to explain why they built the pyramids. So I need to write a sentence about the pyramids here, but I'm just thinking of a good word to describe the pyramids. So I need a good adjective for pyramids to start my writing here. What can I say? Maybe magnificent pyramids. Yeah, I think I like that. Magnificent. I can always go back and change it later, I suppose, if I think of a better word. So magnificent pyramids were built as tombs for powerful pharaohs. Oh, I know, next I might write that fact that we learnt in our guided reading. If you remember, we learnt that the heights of the pyramids varied according to how important the pharaoh or the person was. So I think I might put that in next. Okay, I hope that's helped you to make a start with your writing. So that's how I've started mine. Now, this is a reminder of your steps to success. I've put that on the daily plan for today, along with some of the examples of causal conjunctions and adverbs that I shared earlier. So do use that to help you with your writing, and you can keep checking against it to see whether you've managed to include those skills or not. But you have got another lesson of writing this, so you're only doing those 2 paragraphs today. Don't finish your explanation text, just focus on quality writing for those 2 paragraphs. So if at the end of today you find there's some things that you haven't ticked off yet, that's fine, because you're going to be writing a little bit more in the next lesson with Mrs. Cross, okay? So after your writing today, read it back, have a little look at the steps to success, see how you got on, and it would be nice if you could give yourself a start and a next step so that when we come to your writing on the next day, on Monday, you'll know what you're going to be working on, okay? So there's some sentence starters there for you if you would like to give yourself a start and a next step. So I have done really well at, and next lesson I will try to. And in Monday's lesson, you'll be trying to finish your explanation text with Mrs. Cross. Okay, don't forget at the end as well, if you could draw a learning pic for me, it really helps me to see how you're getting on with your home learning. I have to say I'm very impressed though with everything that you're doing. I know it's not easy, so keep up the good work and keep up that presentation today as well. I'm really enjoying seeing the nice, neat handwriting. Okay, well done everybody. Good luck with your writing, and I'll look forward to reading them later. Bye.